Hello, welcome to another immigration art video, and my name is Art Serratelli. This video deals with the subject of the H-1B cap. It's a quota, and how you can try to avoid the quota by exploring opportunities for employment with employers who are not subject to the quota. As you know, the H-1B visa is for white-collar workers, people who have at least a 4-year college degree from anywhere in the world, and the job offer you receive requires the college degree that you have. As you may know, the H-1B visa category is subject to a quota, a limit. Every government fiscal year, the H-1B quota is 85,000. Can you believe that? 85,000 for every new international worker that wants to enter our workforce. That means in the entire United States of America, every new international pharmacist, accountant, music teacher, gym teacher, manufacturing quality assurance manager, banker, lawyer, doctor, every new international worker, every government fiscal year, we only let in white collar in this category, college educated worker, in this category, 85,000. Period. That's it. The 85,000, by the way, is divided as follows. 65,000 are allotted to anyone who has a 4-year college degree or the equivalent from anywhere in the world. The remaining 20,000 are set aside strictly for international students who've graduated with a master's degree or higher from a United States college or university. In, quote, good economic times, this quota is too low. It's very, very low. And the visas go quickly. The quota last year, in April of 2012, the 85,000 were given away in 2 months and 11 days. 2 months and 11 days. So that means if you didn't have your job search timed exactly right, and you applied after the expiration of those 2 months and 11 days, you don't have an opportunity to get one of the H-1B visas that are subject to this quota. So the question is, do you want to have your entire future pegged to your ability to get a visa by getting in line fast enough before these arbitrarily selected numbers, 85,000, are gone? You might want more control over your future by figuring out where else you can apply for H-1B or alternative status to avoid this quota. You can still apply for jobs that are subject to the quota, don't get me wrong, but simultaneously also look for job offers in organizations that are exempt from the quota. So that's important. Who is exempt from the quota? Is it a person? No. Is it a certain type of college degree or university degree that's exempt? No. The employer, the organization that offers you the job opportunity, the organization, because of the kind of organization it is, the organization is exempt from the quota. So that begs the question, what types of organizations are exempt from this quota? And the answer is twofold. First, we have colleges and universities. Every college or university in the United States of America and every not-for-profit organization affiliated with a college or university is exempt from the quota. And you don't have to be a college professor to participate in this type of category. The job offer you receive from a college or university or a not-for-profit entity somehow connected to a college or university, you don't have to be a professor. You just have to have a job offer that requires the degree that you have. So if you have a 4-year degree in computer science and you're hired into the alumni website maintenance department and you do computer graphics and programming and you keep that website and its server up and running, you get an H-1B, and you get it anytime you want, as long as you're in a legal status when you apply. You get the H-1B without regard to a quota. They're unlimited. If you qualify, and if you're in a legal status and you find an opportunity that allows you to apply for an H-1B, you can apply even if the quota has been hit in the other kind of H-1B category, the quota covered category. So this is like a gift. And let's examine the other part of the equation. What is a nonprofit affiliated with a college or a university? What's a nonprofit affiliated? Well, every hospital, for example, every healthcare system that sits on a college campus is usually nonprofit and affiliated with the university. So the University of Virginia Medical Center, Duke University Medical Center, NYU's Medical Center in New York City. These organizations, and again, you don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to be a professor of medicine, you could be the computer guy in the billing department, you could be a social worker on the children's pulmonary cardiac care unit, you can be a manager in human resources at the hospital system. So these are good opportunities. Other types of not-for-profit organizations connected with universities, museums. You're a liberal arts major and you studied topics that would allow you to be a curator at a museum or a manager of some function at the museum, you could go get a job on this college campus and work at that museum. Another area, not-for-profit research foundations. There are many research foundations connected to university centers, and those are perfectly good job opportunities. And you don't have to be the researcher. You don't have to be the researcher to get a quota-exempt H-1B for a research foundation. You could be a manager. Operations manager, the accounting manager, the information systems manager, you have a huge set of opportunities. Now, is it ideal? Is it your dream job to be the accounts receivable computer systems manager for an entire hospital system? Is that your dream job? No. Maybe no. Maybe yes. Maybe yes. But if it's no, well, you get the H-1B, you get your foot in the door, start working as a part of our workforce, and eventually you can transition to a job at another organization that perhaps is more to your liking. The second type of cap-exempt organization is a not-for-profit research organization or a federal government research organization. But if you've ever tried to get a job with the federal government and you don't have U.S. citizenship or a green card, those jobs may be a little tough to come by. We've gotten folks H-1B visas in this category if they were working at a state level for the state of New York, for example, and if they were keeping, for example, statistical data regarding the incidence of crime by zip code for the whole state. If the state police, for example, wanted to employ you to do that research and the project was funded perhaps by the federal government and you did a lot of your research work using data and resources of the federal government, that potentially could be a federal government research organization. the state police in New York State. Now, I say this because I don't want you to be discouraged if you see the rule written on the internet or in a book and you say, hey, how can I get a federal government research position when the federal government won't even hire me? And I want you to know that the rule isn't meaningless. There is a convoluted way to satisfy the rule. It's not common, but we can do it. If there's a will, there's a way. And if we can't do it, we'll tell you. We'll tell you it's not worth the effort. This case will not work. But if it will work, and we can think of a way to make it work, we'll make it work. So let's focus on the nonprofit private research organization. What is that? Do you have to work in a research organization where everybody walks around in a white lab coat, where there are test tubes and experiments involving dangerous chemicals? No. Research does not necessarily mean the hard sciences. It does not necessarily mean white lab coats and test tubes. It could be social science. It could be economics. It could be public policy. Any public policy organization that is not for profit qualifies in this category. If you get a job there, you get an H-1B that's exempt from the quota. So please contact me, because I've got resources, links that list all sorts of not-for-profit research foundations or research organizations. Most of them are public policy think tanks. Most of them are in Washington, D.C. or Chicago or New York. Some are in California. They are groups like the Urban League or the Brookings Institute, or research into women's rights and human rights, Amnesty International, the Human Rights Watch. If you have an interest in doing public works for the public good, this is an ideal category for you. In addition, trade associations are awesome for this kind of visa. A trade association exists for every type of job imaginable. Are you a high school principal? Then there's a National Association of High School Principals. Are you an immigration lawyer? There is something called the American Immigration Lawyers Association, AILA. Go get a job with AILA. You studied English? Did you study English? Then you go get a job. Write analytical reports for the American Immigration Lawyers Association. You get an H-1B, and I get useful information. I get useful resources on the job. Trade associations are a wonderful place to learn about an industry. And for example, the National Restaurant Association. Do you want to know how restaurants are run and how profitable they are, and how sometimes they're mismanaged and go out of business? Well, then get a job at the National Restaurant Association. And I have a list of all the associations. It's put out by the federal government, and I will be more than happy to send that to you. At this point, I'd like to make one distinction. A non-profit public policy research organization like the Brookings Institute or the Urban League, those are different than NGOs, a non-governmental organization. NGOs are organizations like the United Nations, the African Development Bank, the World Bank, the World Health Organization, Interpol, the International Police. These NGOs are perfect places to work if you have an interest in doing good in the public sphere internationally. How do you finance and build pure water distribution systems in the third world, for example? That is valuable work. If you have a finance degree, an engineering degree, if you have an environmental science degree, these are good jobs at good organizations that do very good work for mankind. I have a list of these organizations because these organizations, if they're formally designated by the United States government as a non-governmental organization, an NGO, if these organizations appear on a list, a formal list, published by our federal government, and you get a job there, then you get something called a G visa. It's not an H. It's certainly not an H covered by a quota, and it's definitely not an H that's exempt from the quota. If the organization is on this list, and contact me, I'll send it to you. If the organization's on the government's list, then the organization, they get you the visa, and it's called a G visa. It's great. It's really great. There are many, many choices for you to avoid this H-1B quota. Just be aware that the H-1B is not the only game in town. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call.